Hey everybody, 757 Hydro Boys here. We're gonna do a little short training video on replacing the clutch on the superchargers, the supercharger clutch gear. It's called a sprag, and you can either get the whole gear, you can get the gear set for the older models. You have to 2017 and up. You can just get the top gear because it's a different tooth pattern, or you can get the replacement sprag. That's the least inexpensive route, and that's what we're gonna do today. We're not doing it on this ski right here. This is 2020, but it has the same setup as the ski that we're doing it on, which is a 2019. So we're gonna jump head first down into the ski so that you can see the process. If you have any questions after you view the video a few times, you're more than welcome to just hit me up on the YouTube page and ask the questions, and we will answer whatever it is you need to know to make this repair yourself, so you don't have to spend those thousands of dollars taking it to the dealer. All right, right here what we have. So this is the phase where the supercharger has come off and it is exposing the gear set. So this is the top gear. This is a picture of the oil line, the oil cooler line for the supercharger. It's off right there. It goes to the back. And this right here is your gear on the bottom. So this is a 2019 model, but the years that it fit goes all the way back to 2017. If you get the 16 and older, you can get the upgraded gear set that will fit right on the crankshaft, but you have to get the whole gear set and clutch assembly. For this particular year, all you have to do is get either the one single clutch gear, or you can get the bearing, which I'm going to show you here in a little bit. Keep on doing what you're doing. So this is the oil pump right here that has to come off the front of the engine that spins and pump your oil. You have a gasket that goes right here, and on the bottom of your oil pan you have an orange O-ring that you have to make sure is correctly seated when you put it back in. All right, so you can buy the gasket separate, you can buy the oil O-ring. All right, and that has to come off to be able to access the gear set.
The way to know that you need your bottom clutch gear or to replace the burns in the gear, your supercharger spin one way. And if your supercharger spin both ways, then you know. If it spin this way, you know your clutch gear bad. Counterclockwise, it should not spin. Clockwise, it should spin. So if it spin both ways, you know your supercharger gear is gone bad.
And you don't have to take it out to make this discovery. All you have to do is take this air tube off of the front and stick your finger in there with the jet ski not running. That's not running. So if you look closely, right here where the supercharger set, you'll see two pins. They're called locating pins, and that makes the supercharger sit on that block and not move around when it's under torque. If you don't have those pins in there, it's very possible that supercharger can move around once you get the high RPM on there and start torquing. It's got some movement with those bolts, very little bit, but that's all it takes is a little bit to make those gears not splined up. So those two pins that's sitting right here, one is here and one is right there. And there's a gasket that goes on the bottom of the supercharger that mounts up to this flange right here. And while you got the front pump off, you might as well go ahead and do yourself a quick oil change. That way you can put the big tube down in the front down there and siphon all that oil out. Tilt your front end forward, and it'll suck it all out. Make sure that this pin and that pin, they're locating pins. Make sure both of them are there.
Yeah, 12 volts.
All right, go ahead. So the front oil pump is back on, and at this point, you have to make sure. I know for the newer models that there's 12 bolts. There's one bolt that has a blind hole right in the center bottom. So you have to make sure that you get that one. You're gonna have a long hex socket or a long hex key to get to it, but it's 12 bolts. And just make sure you check the O-ring and the gaskets before you mount them up there to make sure you don't pinch it. All right, that's that step. So this right here, this is the banjo bolt for the oil line that goes to the back of the supercharger.
Make sure.
Go ahead.
Make sure you get both of these gaskets, one in front of the line. Then once you get your bolt in, just go between your line and your oil pump. If you got either one of these missing, you got a terrible oil leak.
It's similar to brake line washers. So.
That's right. So we're going to get it mounted up, and then we'll give you just a quick pic of exactly what it looked like. See both washers. See both washers. Get started with your fingers. No wrenches before the fingers. Rule of thumb, started with your fingers, put a wrench on. It's for the professionals that
and no air tubes.
No air tubes. This is soft aluminum. No air tubes on your oil pump bolts. The few minutes it takes to hand tighten is well worth not stripping it out your block. Hand tight. I know that's torque specification, but you've done this long enough. You got an idea. Okay, then you got your reset bolt for your oil line. But to make sure that oil line don't flex. And I should have that hole covered up. Okay, go ahead.
The mounting of the supercharger. You check your O-ring gasket on the bottom. Make sure that it's in place. The two locating pins that's on the block that I showed you. And then you have 6 bolts. You have 2 tiny ones in the center.
Yep.
And you have the outer edge ones are the 12 millimeter, 10 millimeter, or actually 8 millimeter and 12 millimeter.
Yep.
And then you tighten them to torque specification. All right, so now we have mounted up. He has mounted up the support bracket that go for the intercooler to the front. And you got to get the 2 bolts closest to the block first. Leave them a little loose, and then you get the 2 bolts that go to the side of the intercooler. Next thing is the
Air
intake tube. All right, so there you have it. The installation of the clutch for the supercharger for Yamaha Waverunner Supercharger models. All of the processes are the same. The one thing that I did not express, when you go to take the bottom gear off that has the clutch in it, that bolt is a 17 millimeter, and you have to go reverse. So instead of lefty loosey righty tighty, is righty tighty lefty loosey. So you have to turn it loosening to tighten and tighten to loosen. If you go about it the wrong way, you're going to strip out the crankshaft and then you're going to be in a whole different scenario of repair. So it's once you do it a few times, we probably did I can't count how many, more than 20 times. You get used to it. It's not that hard once you have all the correct tools and know the process. So hit us up, let us know how you like this training video on YouTube, and send us any questions that you have. 757 Hydro Boys. Check out our page, 757hydroboys.com. All right, later.